My next guest I had the privilege to sit down with was a former guest on episode 60, Celebrating Life by Being a Blessing to Others. He was also a 2022 Gender Affirming Surgery Grant awardee. Now he serves on the board as Dem Bois treasurer. And so within this episode, we talked about his life and career that led up to this moment in leadership. We talked about Dem Bois' mission and what it means to him personally. And he also discussed his hopes and goals for Dem Bois in the future. And so episode is another part in the board member highlight series. And so I hope that you enjoy it.
Dem Bois, Dem Bois, amplifying, transmitting, color voices, yeah, we here making noise, making noise, Visibility equals possibility, you know we them boys, Dem Bois, amplifying,
Welcome to Dem Bois Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Aaron, he, him, his. My next guest was the 2022 Gender Affirming Surgery Grant awardee. He was also a guest on episode 60, Celebrating Life by Being a Blessing to Others. And he also serves on the board as the treasurer. Kwasi, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going? Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so glad to have you. And so this is a part of the Highlighting Board Members series. And so you are the next one up. I'm so excited for people to get to, the listeners to really get an insight as to who you are. And so go ahead and introduce yourself for folks who may not have listened to your episode before, your name and pronouns.
Absolutely. So my name is Kwasi, or Kwasi Raheem to my family and my close friends. Pronouns he, him, his. And I am just your everyday, run-of-the-mill, old, young guys. I like to tell people. Got a lot of plants at home, pets, and I spend my spare time building Lego sets and reading books. That's what I like to do.
Yes. And in the midst, y'all can't see him, but he said he a younger, older person. He wrapped in the blanket. So he representing his old self right now in this in this moment. Yeah. So Kwasi, so you serve on the board as our treasurer. So you want to tell us a little bit about your career and what led you up to this moment in leadership?
Absolutely. So it's actually kind of funny. I was talking about this to my mother the other day that I thought I was going to be able to kind of get away from the finance arena, but somehow I still wound up here. But my career or my full-time / daytime job, I'm a senior IT engineer. So I do infrastructure software, that sort of thing. But originally, when I first started out, just trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life, I did start in finance. Because my mother, she was an accountant. She did senior accounting for over 40 years and just retired here at the top of the year. And so I worked a couple of jobs. I started some internships at the Department of Housing and Urban Development. I worked at the Chief Information Office. I did budgets and spend planning and all of that stuff there. Eventually, when I did get into some IT jobs, tier 1, tier 2, I started off in the finance arena, so working for LPO Financial and Vanguard. And that was just an experience. And then again, I was like, I don't think I really want to do this. I don't think the finance thing is really it for me. There's a lot of rules, regulations. And then when you start to understand things, you start to want to, see things change. And I was like, this is a lot for my brain. So let me shift this. And I wound up getting into IT healthcare. So that's where I'm at now. But coming to the board, when I got a chance to talk, and I had just been listening to some of the podcasts and just watching what the organization was doing from the time that I received my award to date. And I was like, man, this would be something that, great to be a part of, to be able to assist. And what I do know about myself is that I'm very interested in just helping people find resources in the most peculiar places, as well as helping them to understand that, life, growth, success is also not resource dependent. So sort of doing some rewiring of the brain to show that you can have the things that you want. You can get to that place and, having a certain amount of money or, having access to a certain thing is not the full picture. So being able to be in a space to provide that for an organization, as well as to be able to still show up and perform and still bring in those resources and, again, be able to push that back out into the community I just felt like that was a great opportunity. So to be able to be hired and be here and doing this is a blessing to me. So I'm super excited about it.
Yes, definitely. And we're glad to have you. The new Visibility Equals Possibility merch is now here. If you've been a listener of the show for a while, you know that here on Dem Bois Podcast, we believe that visibility equals possibility. And I say it all the time. Now we're introducing a groundbreaking collaboration crafted by Emilio. Emilio was featured on Dem Bois Podcast episode 37. So if you don't know his story or his journey, be sure to go back and listen to episode 37, right? But this isn't just merch, it's a movement. We're empowering trans men of color with creative freedom to design their interpretation of what visibility equals possibility means to them. Think of it like major brands collaborating with athletes or musicians, right? But this time, it's our community taking the center stage. It's great to have trans men of color designing products that represents their community, my community, your community, and that folks feel proud to put on. So be sure to go to the website and check it out. Our website is dembois.org. That's DEMBOIS.org. Every purchase goes to support our vital programs. And so the organization and the mission, what does the mission, especially you just mentioned as being an awardee in 2022. And so what does the mission, Dem Bois mission, mean to you personally?
It means to me, again, like you guys are, I have a strong spiritual background. So I'll say it like this, that you guys are not just being, quote, hearers of the word. So, receiving that information from the community that there's a need, but you guys are being doers of it also. And so I'm like, that is the biggest part for me. And like I said, being able to be an awardee, I can't pay that back in money or even words. I don't think a lot of times, like, no one will ever know what that meant for me to be able to have that opportunity to get a surgery that I desperately needed and wasn't sure was going to happen. And the work that goes into that process and knowing that and pushing through that, and you guys being a part of that, not just in the ways of giving the resource or the money to be able to have the surgery, but also doing the check-ins, also receiving, post-care care packages, and, you guys still highlighting the awardees online, and, like I said, just checking in with us to see how things are going. That is invaluable. Like it's out of this world. There's no amount of, I feel like, money that could sort of place a value on that. So that's what I believe that the mission is for me, or the biggest portion of the mission is for me, that you guys are actually doing these things that you're saying that you're doing, that you're actually giving back to the community, and not just, in a very, I would say, like a siloed way. So, I mean, yes, this is a trans mass organization, but I see you touching so many different folks in a lot of communities. And I think that that's important too.
So it's almost like a full circle moment, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like a karma, giving and then receiving and then giving back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I want to ask you, as a treasurer and a member of the board, what are you looking to contribute, or do you hope to manifest with Dem Bois in the future?
So the biggest thing that I would like to contribute to the board and to the organization as a whole is, like I said, being able to bring in resources to do this, in a bigger and not necessarily better, but just a more efficient way moving forward. I think a lot of people can find a lot of value in this organization and the things that you guys are offering, or that we're offering as a team. I'm getting used to saying that now, that we're offering as a team. And so I want to be able to, like I said, provide those resources. And again, not necessarily from my own bucket, but just to be able to, make those connections with other organizations that are interested in working with us to meet some of these goals, like, continuing to give grants for folks that have more gender affirming surgeries, and, being able to expand, the care package programs, and being able to talk about, some in-person programs or some events that the organization is interested in participating in. I would love to be able to sit down and be a part of, like I said, that resource building process and that connecting process. And what I see for this is, like I said, just bigger, touching more people, expanding the network and being able to get people on board with this idea that, you know, there is a safe place, especially for trans masks individuals. And we're here for y'all, and we're a community. And this isn't just like some one time thing where we want to give you something and then we're going to push you off into the world and figure it out. No, we're family, and we're going to continue to check in with you. We're going to continue to expand so that, again, this becomes a network. This becomes a bigger family that we can continue to give back. And like you said, that karma or that cycle, that cyclical thing continues to happen.
Hey, this is Joel Simu, production assistant for Dem Bois Podcast. Love visual storytelling? Then you'll want to check out our YouTube channel. We're bringing you exclusive interview shorts and taking you behind the scenes with content you won't find anywhere else. Find us on YouTube at Dem Bois Inc. or click the link in our show notes.
I know somebody reached out to me a couple of days ago, and throughout this board member highlight series of saying, whoa, I've never seen trans folks on boards before, or I've never seen Black folks on boards before, right? Because when we think of boards of organizations, we think of white people, wealthy white people with money and resources and access to different resources. And so some folks that are listening may not even know what board service is, may not even know the position that you hold or the seat that you hold as a treasurer. So you want to kind of like brief folks that don't know about your position and what it is that you actually do as a treasurer.
So, yeah, I mean, treasury can be as small as you could just be responsible for doing, bookkeeping / record keeping of, what's being spent, what is the plan for what's being spent. And it can end there. But it can also be, a little bit more expansive. And I believe that that's what this role is here at Dem Bois, where it's not just about keeping up with what we're doing, but it's, again, about structuring a space to be able to say, like, here's the vast amount of ideas and goals that we have for this business, and how can we sort of position ourselves as an organization to be able to reach those goals. So it's a little bit of networking. It's a little bit of marketing. It's a little bit of just general finance structuring. Like it's a little bit of everything. And I do appreciate that for that because it kind of keeps you on your toes, and it's not something that's kind of mundane. It's something that gives me ideas to continue to work towards. Like I'm constantly thinking nowadays, like when I'm out or I'm going to, like I'll go to the flea market or I'll go to these little market events throughout the city, and I see all these vendors out there, pushing different things and ideas. And I'm like, how can we be a part of this? You know what I'm saying? Like what makes the most sense for our community? How do we, engage the folks that we actually want to be a part of this, as well as just the general public? Because again, like I said, I also appreciate the organization for that it's not just, trans-masculine individuals, and that's the line. Like, no, it's like we are an all-encompassing organization, and we see and respect and love everyone. And though we do, have this passion, and we are focusing, a lot of efforts towards trans-masculine individuals, and this organization was started by trans-masculine individuals, like we want everybody. We want everybody to get on board with this idea. So I think my position, like I said, is a little bit of everything in that same fashion of networking, record keeping. I know the last time we talked with the group, we were talking about bringing on new software for some things. Like it's all of those things, as well as, just like I said, general finance structuring and positioning for us to be able to reach the goals that we're interested in reaching.
Absolutely. Thank you for that great explanation. And sometimes folks don't know what it is in the roles that we say that we hold. And it's like, well, what are y'all doing? Right. And so I think that's very important. So thank you so much for sharing that. And so Kwasi, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being a part of this series. Is there any last moment things you'd like to say to folks that are listening?
I would just say today is October 24th, 2024, and we are coming up on our major elections. And I would just like to reach out to folks and tell them, please get out and vote. It's important. You have to be a part of the change you want to see. And a part of that starts with you just taking some action. So even if you don't know what you're doing, even if it's your first time, ask somebody, Google it. We all got smartphones, computers, all those things. Get out, register, and if you have the ability, please vote. And also, God is good. And I'll be continuing to pray for all of y'all, and I love all of y'all.
You know we them boys, yeah. Them boys, yeah. Amplifying, transmitting color voices, yeah. We here making noise, yeah. Making noise, yeah. Them boys, yeah. We them boys, yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode as I highlighted one of Dem Bois' board members. So would you like to make a difference in the lives of trans men of color? If you're listening to this episode and you're like, you know what, I enjoyed this episode and learning about the board member, their life, their career, and what chose them to become leaders and to join Dem Bois' board. So are you or someone you know interested in serving on our board? We are currently looking for one extra individual who is committed to supporting trans men of color. So you might say, Sean, well, what type of individual are you looking for? Well, we're looking for trans leaders of color. We're looking for other queer folks of color and or allies who understand the importance of accessing medical transition related care and all other trans issues to join our board. So we are looking for someone who would like to become the vice chair to work alongside all the dynamic leaders of the board and to help support the mission and the vision of the organization. And so what if you're listening to this episode and you say, you know what, Sean, that sounds like a great idea, but I have no idea what a board membership means. I don't even know what the vice chair of a board is supposed to actually do. Well, you're in luck. So if you are interested in learning more information about joining a nonprofit board, not just Dem Bois board, but a board in general, you can schedule a 15-minute meeting with me so we can virtually conversate and go over some things that board service requires. So just go into the show notes of this episode, click the link to schedule a 15-minute meeting with me, and I can kind of teach you a little bit more about board service. But what if you're like, you know what, Sean, I already know what board service is about. I want to just join Dem Bois board. Well, also in the link in the description, you can click the link and fill out an interest form to join Dem Bois board. And we'll be in contact with you soon. So I hope to have you join us.